So thank you so much for coming. I am so excited that you are interested about learning more about the benefits of journaling and putting pen to paper. It is something that I have done for years, sporadically, like I'm not a dedicated person to it as much as I would like to be, but it's definitely something that has been a big part um, of my journey and documenting my journey throughout the years. So, and part of it came from, well, to introduce myself, my name is Carolyn Carlton, and I currently live in Saskatchewan, in the northern part of Saskatchewan in Canada. And I am an author and an entrepreneur. And actually, yesterday, or I don't know, someday this past week, someone actually called me their journaling coach. So I've never seen myself as a journaling coach, but hey, if you need a journaling coach, I will be that for you because I know a lot about journaling because I study it all the time. And actually, in 2020 is when I really started studying more the behind the scenes of how therapeutic it is to journal. It's something that I knew within myself, but I didn't understand that it was actually something that had been studied and researched. And I started working through all of that last year. And then I wrote a little ebook that I put on my website, and it was called Journaling for Mental Wellness. And a lot of people were downloading that. And obviously, a lot of people were struggling throughout 2020 and figuring out how to deal with different situations in their life as everything changed so drastically. That journal has been downloaded like thousands of times now. So that definitely was proof for me that this is something that is worthwhile, something that people are investigating, and how can I help people on this journey. So my husband used to always share a quote with me, and it's from Albert Einstein. It says, "Paper is used to write things down that you need to remember, and our brains are used to think." So that is something that has always been something. I make lists all the time. I don't know if any of you are people that need to make lists so that you can check things off that you need to do or that you need to remember. I'll even write things down on a list that wasn't on the list just so I have something to check off. So I write things down. That's how I think things through. That is how I remember things. And it was interesting that Einstein did this practice of journaling, and so did Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone. So I went to the Bell homestead when I was in Ontario. I grew up in Ontario, so I was back there, and we took our daughters there. And in his house, he actually made a separate wing onto his house where he could invent, because he invented so many things other than the telephone. He invented something for like airplanes and all these different things. So he did so much, and it was so interesting to learn that everything that he did or tried or was learning, he would write down in journals, and there was just shelves full of journals, because that is how he went through the process of learning how things work and how things don't work, and how to get to write as you're doing different things. And that is pretty exciting because that's what a journal does through us as well as a part of the therapy. I read this is a quote that I really like, and it says, "A personal journal is an ideal environment in which to become. It is a perfect place for you to think, feel, discover, expand, remember, and dream." So through the research that I have done over the past few years, scientific evidence has supports that journaling provides unexpected benefits. So the act of writing accesses your left brain, which is analytical and rational. While your left brain is occupied, your right brain is free to create, discern, and feel. So in sum, writing removes mental blocks and allows you to use all your brain power to better understand yourself, others, and the world around you. So over the past several years, I have been involved in the fiber arts, and that was through like crocheting, hand dyeing yarn, all these different things. And it's my, creative outlet in some regards. And I was asked if I could do something to teach in the schools, because in grade 7 and 8, part of their curriculum here in Saskatchewan is something to do with fiber arts. So I created a little weaving project that I could do with the students. And I called it Weaving into Wellness. And so I started on this path of learning more about wellness and how fiber arts. And in turn, what I found out is journaling is very much the same, of creating the same type of effect from the movement of putting pen to paper or using fibers to do a weaving project. So I found out that wellness means a state of being in good health, especially as an actively pursued goal. I just love that thought. An actively pursued goal. You are actively pursuing becoming well, to being in good health. And so the whole definition, whether it's mental wellness or whatever it is of the wellness that you're trying to create in your life, it's just very exciting that it's an actively pursued goal. So this is something that you do yourself. This isn't something that just happens to you or happens by chance, but it is an active goal that you do for yourself. So the act of putting pen to paper, the movement of just actually handwriting, induces a relaxed state similar to that of yoga or meditation. And that's the same thing that I found with weaving as well. So in that in turn drops your blood pressure, helps you sleep better, and can strengthen your immune system. Because by writing or doing something therapeutic is actually helps you release tension and becomes an outlet and a form of a release. So the people who I found are journaling helps them, they're better at problem solving, there enhances their creativity, and it propels you towards goals, releases tension, and helps you discover your voice. So if you've ever even thought about blogging or even how you're writing your Instagram posts, these are all different things that as you write in a journal and you're learning and discovering about yourself, it all in turn helps you write in all regards of whatever you're trying to do, because it helps you discover you. We'll get into more about that in a little bit. I'm not sure what kind of, if you guys have done any journaling whatsoever in the past, whether you're just learning how to journal, whether you want to try something new. Many people keep a gratitude journal. And so they say that, writing 3 things down every day is very therapeutic, because it gives you, when you're writing down things that you're grateful for, it gives you the opportunity to look at things from another perspective of having gratitude for things that we may take for granted. I know when I started doing a gratitude journal, you write down, oh, I'm thankful that I, woke up this morning and that I have breath and that there's a blue sky and that type of thing. And I'm thankful for, coffee and those type of things. And then as you start writing a few things and as you work on any type of gratitude journal, then it gets harder, because you're like, oh, well, I already wrote coffee, or, I already wrote, I'm thankful for the sunshine. And then you start looking at it from a different perspective, and your gratitude towards that, or your appreciation for those things, tends to grow in different ways. So instead of saying, oh, I'm thankful for the sunshine, you could say, I'm thankful for the warmth of the sunshine on my face. Instead of, I'm thankful for coffee, I'm thankful for that first sip of coffee in the morning, and it changes your perspective. It changes how you write. It changes how you think. And it all is a development of creating, and you becoming more of who you are. Our thoughts, this was something that when I was teaching in the schools, was a really interesting thing, is that we have thousands of negative thoughts every day. So our mind is just going through nonstop all these negative thoughts. And we really need to start taking all these thoughts captive, because it's not helping us. It's not benefiting us. It's not moving us forward. When I was teaching in the schools and the wellness classes that I was doing, like, teenagers have I don't think I'd want to go back and be a teenager these days. I have 2 teenagers. I have a 17-year-old and 19-year-old, and it is a difficult time right now with all the different social media and pressures and all those different things. It's way, I look at my teen years, I had enough difficulty during that. I don't know how I would have adjusted. And it's been, as a mom, hard for my heart some days to see. And I think that was part of the thing of why I was so, I guess, passionate or encouraged to go into the schools, to talk about mental wellness, because I see the struggle within my own daughters and their friends and hearing the stories. And so being able to go in and say, you know what? We all have negative thoughts. We all have these things that we have to deal with, but it's a choice. You don't have to believe those thoughts that are going through your mind. And when you journal, you can write down a lot of these things that you're thinking and feeling, and it changes the way that you respond or the way that you react to those things. Because sometimes you'll write something and you'll be able to look at it and say, that's actually what I think. Like, that is so not true. And the furthest thing from how I actually feel or look at myself. So it's interesting that you were able to evaluate and see these things from another perspective. There's a saying that says the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. So by putting pen to paper and having this therapeutic outlet helps in so many regards into what you are doing within your life and the choices that you make every day. One of the questions that I always ask in my journaling workshops is I ask attendees about, who are you in the dark? When you're by yourself, sitting in the dark, no one can see you, who is your authentic self? And that's a lot of things. I've been told by people that they don't want to journal because they don't want to go to that place. They are scared of their thoughts. They're scared of, maybe dealing with some issues that they have in their life. And I want to encourage people that it's important. You need to go to that place. So many people are searching for, the meaning of life and their purpose. And they look in so many different so many different places. Like, people look and, they watch movies or self-help books, or do personal coaching and that type of thing. And those can help, well, I don't know if movies are the best influence, but, reading books and getting some personal coaching is really good. But you have to stop the continuous education part of it, and you need to start doing the application part of it. And that's what I like about journaling, is that it helps move you forward. So if you are making this investment in your life of, paying to do coaching, or buying books, or just borrowing books from the library, or whatever it may be, you're investing your time into these things. So you need to start applying it. When I wrote my book, actually, there was, at the end of every chapter, I didn't want people just to read my book and say, well, it was a book for teen girls, just what I wrote. And so I didn't want girls to just read my book and say, oh, well, that was a nice book. I wanted them to, when they started the book to when they finished the book, I wanted them to see themselves differently. I wanted them to have grown, and develop different things in their lives. And so at the end of every chapter, I had to apply it to your life section. So that not only did you hopefully learn something through the chapter that you just read, but now you have the chance to learn from it and to see it and put it into your own perspective. Because how I see things and how I may learn things in my life, other people are going to interpret differently, and they're going to learn from different things. Like, my book was really interesting. I wrote it for teen girls, and I put it out there, went around, spoke all over the place to teen girl things in schools and wherever. But one of the big things that I kept getting was emails from mothers that had read it. And the mothers were writing to me saying, I had a lot of stuff from my teen years that I didn't deal with, and this book helped me deal with it. I had no idea that is where, how my book would be interpreted by some people. So it's just really interesting how everybody sees something from a different perspective, and we can learn and grow in all different ways. A lot of people are searching for, I talked about this before, about meaning of life and their purpose, and you want to find your purpose. What is, what am I supposed to do with my life and all that kind of stuff? And one of the things I heard recently that I've been really, analyzing and thinking through is that they said, if you want to find your purpose, look to where your greatest pain is. So a lot of times it's what have you dealt with in your life and what have you struggled through? By journaling, it will help you find clarity and awareness to who you are. So back when we talked about, discovering who you are in the dark, the secret you when no one can see you and what's really hiding in there. In order to, grow in your purpose, you need to go through that pain. And honestly, the power that we have in our lives comes through the healing from those different pains or different issues or things that we tend to carry through life. And if we are able to go to that place to discover, who that secret person is in the dark, that huge power can come from that, and purpose, and just living life fully. The way that I do my journaling is a weekly practice. So I don't have enough time to always sit every day and write something out. I like doing a weekly practice because it gives me a zoomed out view of my life. When we're going through situations and you see the day to day, you don't always see the journey, right? You see moments by moments, and sometimes you're just struggling through whatever it is to get to where you're going. But when I look at my life over the past week and then kind of like do a check-in weekly, I am able to see so much more. I'm able to like zoom out of my life a little bit and look down and say, oh yeah, last week the situation happened, and this week, it doesn't have the same, hold over me or pain or, struggle with me. I'm looking at it from better perspective this week because I've learned A, B, and C. So it's really interesting. By doing a weekly exercise, that it helps us zoom out of our lives rather than being so focused in on the moment. And then also you're able to see how your journey is unfolding. Journaling is about your journey. I always keep a journal, and sometimes I would write it, once a month even, or whatever it be. And then one time I was getting near the end of my journal, I wrote something about, I have to get I'm almost done this journal, or something. I don't even know what I wrote, but instead of writing the word journal, I wrote the word journey. And so then I started thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? That's what this is. This isn't a diary that, this person said this thing mean to me or whatever. It's more of a journey. It's all your journey. So every time I got a journal after that, I would get like a sticker, or I'd write it on the front of my thing that I would always call it my journey, because that changed the perspective about what I wrote. Instead of writing about this or that or experience in my life or whatever, I would write down what it was doing as my journey. What situations happened in my life, how did I learn from these situations? It's all part of the journey. It's all about character building and those type of things. And that's how I changed my perspective on how the things were that I wrote. And life is about the journey. One of the things I hate, I guess hate is a strong word, but that bothers me is about everyone's like, you need to have goals. You need to set goals. I don't like setting goals, and I'll explain why. Because if you look at goals, or you're trying to set goals, you look at a goal as something that needs to be attained. And so you're always reaching for this goal because you think that once you get to this goal that you'll have fulfillment, that you'll be happy if I just get to this point, then I'll be happy. If I just get to this point, then I'll get happy. Or this is success if I get to, XYZ or whatever it is. But what we're doing is that we're always living for like this future moment. We are not living in the here and now. And that's part of the problem I have with the whole setting goals things. I want to find joy in my journey. I want to enjoy every day. I just don't want to think that I'm going to find joy once I get to this part of my goal. And if you've ever reached something, okay, when I wrote my book, my biggest growing and learning was by writing the book. it wasn't with, you know, it was exciting when my first box of books arrived at my house and I got to open it up and hold my book in my hands. That was pretty cool. And then the whole other piece that came with it, like writing the book, was I found so much joy in that. Even though it was a struggle, there was times where I was bawling. I couldn't even see the screen because of just the pain and things that were coming out of me as I was trying to be honest and transparent as I was sharing through this book. And then yeah, but it was all part of the journey, and I'm glad that I took time to enjoy all of it, whether it was, you know, going out in the book tours or doing the TV shows or whatever it was. There was so many aspects of it that I wanted to enjoy it all, that I didn't want to say, you know, oh, when my book hits the New York Times bestseller list, then that is, you know, my goal or whatever. There were so many other things I could enjoy. It never made the New York Times bestseller, but not even close. But that, you know, doesn't matter. Maybe I'll write other books someday. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's about enjoying all the different pieces and aspects. If I just look at it as, you know, I'm only going to be happy and fulfilled as an author if I make the New York Times bestseller list, then I'm missing out on so much more of what can happen. Our journeys are a beautiful experience. They are who we are. They make us who we are. Every experience that we can write about in a journal, everything, that little bits. I wrote this on Instagram the other, I don't know, probably a little while ago, but our legacy is all about the little things during the day. My oldest daughter just moved out, and well, in the last fall. And she had a really hard time when she moved out. And part of her biggest struggles when she moved out was that she missed all the little things. She missed, you know, having, you know, suppers as a family, and just the little things, how, you know, how we say goodbye to the family as they're leaving to go about the different things as the day. Those are the things that she missed. You know, it wasn't the, you know, big momentous, you know, things or whatever. It was the little things. And that is what is creating our legacy. And our journeys are beautiful. And transformation or anything that happens in our lives, the whole journey, it takes time. So much of today's world is looking for instant gratification on different things. But if you look at life and the journey, you know, even I've heard a lot of analogies, I guess, lately about trees, like how long it takes to grow a tree, or even if it's a fruit tree, from when it starts as a seed and grows, and it has to develop a root system before it can actually start growing. And then as it grows, like it takes years before it will even produce fruit. And really, the good fruit that it takes, it only starts producing that almost near the end of the tree's life. And the tree only develops really good fruit if it's been pruned and thinned along the way. And those are all like the different life lessons that we go through. And they're all these things that build our character. And it's so interesting, as we zoom out on life, we can see all these different things as we write about our journeys. And as we're journaling, I like doing a weekly journal just because I can keep accountable. I can keep myself accountable to once a week. I know who I am, and I'm not a daily journaler. I couldn't do it. Even there's a 5-minute journal a day or whatever. There's no way. I can't write down my thoughts in 5 minutes. I like to sit and take time and invest in that time when I'm going to write in my journal. And so writing in a journal, you need to be intentional. You need to make space. So making space, that means in time, environment, and mentally. So I create time. I know when I'm going to do my journaling, and I prepare. I like first thing in the morning because my family's all sleeping. So I can go and be quiet. So what do? I prepare the night before. So whatever I'm doing, I create space the night before. So I make sure that, you know, the kettle's full so that it's ready to go. So I can just make my tea first thing. You know, I'll fill my diffuser so that it's ready to go for what I'm doing. And I set my chair up with my blanket beside it and all that kind of stuff. So I create my space. I have a spot where I go, and that's where I know I get comfortable. And I know if it's prepared, I have a more likelihood to do it. It's the same thing with, they say about working out. If you want to work out in the morning, set out your workout gear the night before. So when you get up in the morning, it's there, it's accessible. If you have to hunt for it and because you don't know where your shoes are or whatever, you're not going to do it. If you prepare for it, it's more likelihood that you're going to do it. So create the time and the environment. So when I prepare, I'll have my journal there. I find a pen. I make everything available all in one spot so that everything is set up and it's ready to go. And then mentally, you need to pause. You need to just give yourself that space. If you are going to, find who you are in the dark, if you are willing to discover your purpose, if you are ready to gain and receive that power that comes from healing in your life, then you need to be mentally prepared for that, to be vulnerable with yourself and pause. I have an app that I use on my phone. It's called the Oak Meditation app. And it actually has this thing where you can do where I think you're supposed to use it for meditation, but I use it for journaling. But I think journaling, from what my research shows, can have the same benefit and effect as meditation. So what it does is I set it for 30 minutes. So that way I know for my next 30 minutes, this is what I'm doing. I'm spending my time journaling over the next 30 minutes. And then sometimes when I'm journaling, my mind will wander or whatever. So what I have set, that you can set the app up so that I think you can change the time. So it can be every 5 minutes, every 2 minutes. If your mind tends to wander, it'll give you like a little time or whatever every 5 minutes. And it's such a good reminder because then it brings me back. If I'm not focused, then it brings me back going, okay, where was I as I was working through this journal? And I need to get back. I've dedicated a half an hour to this time, so I need to get back. But if I'm in the zone, I'm just like, I just encourage myself, if I hear the chime or whatever, and I'm just in it and I'm writing and working through things, and I'm just like, oh, good on me that I haven't wandered. And it takes practice. It's a discipline, and I'm getting better at it. But this app is wonderful. And then you can create a different chime or sound at the end of the 30 minutes so that you know when your practice is done. And you can even set sounds in the background. So if you want peaceful sounds in the background, like a little babbling brook or fireplace, or I don't know, there's like probably 15 different sounds that you can set, like rain. I don't know, there's a whole bunch of different ones. And so, yeah, it's just really nice. I set it to the stream and just relaxing stream sounds. And I'm finding that it really helps me because it's making me be intentional about that time and dedicate to that time. So why is keeping a journal about my journey important? So, and I think I've shared a little bit about that, but because it's all about, and my legacy is important. For a couple of reasons, and I'll share two with you. I was in a car accident a few years ago, and I was hit by a drunk driver, and I had a really bad concussion, and I could not remember things. I would start stories or sentences, and then I couldn't remember how to finish them, or I would just like stop talking, and people would stare at me going like, what is the deal? So I just remember really, really, really struggling during that time because I just kept thinking about, there were so many things I wanted to share with our daughters, and I can't even finish a story. I can't do all these things. And I'm just like, there's just things that I want to do. And, I was like, I ever get my brain back, I'm going to write all these things down that I want to share so that if anything happens to me or like this again or whatever, or even I started even just writing down pieces that I could remember at that time, that I wanted something written down about my journey that could be a lesson, for our daughters. So that was a big thing, because once you don't have the ability to do something, it's incredible and how important it becomes that you get to. And then for Christmas one year, I got a red dual tang, and I'm like, okay, this is a really weird red dual tang. Why did I get a red dual tang? And it is actually, if I can get it. I'm going to show you. It's called The Journey, and it's written in 1913. And this is the story. Here, you can kind of see it. It is the story of my grandmother, well, my grandparents, my great grandparents, and as they traveled to Canada. So they were from England and they immigrated to Canada, and it's all about their journey as they crossed the Atlantic, why they left England, their journey across, what it was like on the ship. Oh, another little interesting fact about legacy, heritage, all these different things. It's all important, I think, that we continue to share these things with our children. Is my great grandfather stood in line to buy tickets for the Titanic, and they were actually sold out of tickets by the time you got to the front of the line. So good for me that they ran out of tickets, because I wouldn't be here today. So that's just kind of an interesting side note. But so yeah, so I have this amazing part of history from my family as they immigrated, and how, their transition to Canada, and how they were treated when they came to Canada, and how they were basically just went to a place and they said, here's your stake number, go find your land. And then they had to travel around till they found the stake in the ground, and then they set up their homestead, and that's where they started. So that is just amazing that I am able to have that heritage and legacy from my great grandparents. So that was, yeah, that red duotang is probably one of my best Christmas presents. So, and yeah, I just legacy, and I don't want to lose my memories and the different things about my journey, because I've learned a lot. And I think it's important that we continue to share with our children about the lessons that we've learned. I think it's a shame that we don't do that so as much as we should. So I think our children should never see us on a platform that we've never done anything wrong. We are all learning, we are all growing, and we're all in different places. We're all on different journeys. I think there's a lot we can learn from each other. So there is just so much around journaling. And when I saw how many people were downloading the Journaling for Mental Wellness ebook that I put on my website, I was just like, how can I do something that can help people on their journey? Because I find that when people feel like they're stuck in their writing, a lot of people were like, I just never know what to write about. And so what I do in my journaling workshops is that I would always say, start with the date. As soon as you put pen to paper and just write simple, something like writing the date, it's incredible on how then all of a sudden your pen just kind of starts going. And so they say that, if you're stuck in writing, you generally are stuck in life, and you're at a part of confusion, and you don't know, where to go. So when I was talking before about doing a weekly check-in with yourself, I think it's really important in the growth in our lives if we are able to have the opportunity for that. So what I did was I created a weekly journal. I'll show you what it looks like. I just created a weekly journal that is just kind of like, actually, I called it in the last journaling webinar that I did, I called it a life workbook, because that tends to be more of what it is than an actual journal per se, because it's the weekly check-in with yourself. Just, yeah, it's just really interesting. So anyways, I'll just kind of show you. So it just has like the date, so per week, and then it just has a few spaces where I ask questions, and then it has a spot where you can write, all this space here is, you can write, what am I grateful for? And then there's a few other questions here. And so it's just a couple of pages where you just do a weekly check-in with yourself and write down some thoughts. And what's interesting that I found that as I've been working through this, I have been dedicated to do this weekly, and I started back in November. So I've only really like consciously made a huge effort at this since last November. But man, I just can't believe how much of an impact it has had in my life. And part of it, I think, is because I ask myself the same questions every week. I started like before when I don't even know how many questions it was. Like I've been doing this form of asking myself questions for a while, but I used to have like, well, this is what it used to look like. There used to be lots of questions and it used to be a different format. And I was just like, it just seemed to be a little overwhelming. So I kind of broke it down and I worked through some different psychology things about different questions that you can ask yourself in the major areas of life. And then it's just really interesting how now, like, that I ask the same questions to myself every week. I'm thinking about these questions throughout the week now. So as I'm making choices in my life and the things that I'm doing, it's really interesting that my weekly check-in, I know I'm going to hold myself accountable to it because I know like Saturday mornings are my day when I do it. So I know I'm going to be holding myself accountable to some of the choices that I make on Saturday morning. And I also start thinking about it as just like, okay, how am I, like one of the questions about how are you building into the relationships in your life? So I'm just like, okay, yeah, what am I doing this week that I'm building into the relationships? I don't want to take any relationships in my life for granted. So what am I doing to build into the relationships in my life this week? So it has just been transformative for me between the personal coaching program that I've joined this year and then having this journal has helped me stay accountable and help my growth trend increase drastically over the last 6 months. So it has been just amazing. This weekly check-in, zooming out on my life, I have learned so much because so many times we get caught in repeating cycles. We get stuck in the thing of just doing the same thing over and over again, whether it's in, our parenting, our relationships with our spouse, or our coworkers, or our parents, or whatever it may be, or even we can get stuck in cycles with our finances of that. Oh my goodness, I'm always living paycheck to paycheck. So there's all these different areas of growth and expansion we can do if we learn and we can start examining. It's always easier for someone from the outside to look in on your life and go, I can tell you exactly what's wrong because they're seeing it from an outside perspective. Whereas when we try to look at it within ourselves, it's very difficult. So by writing, putting pen to paper, we're able to do that for ourselves in some regard, and it will help us see things. I know once I was writing, this was years ago before I started doing this weekly format. I was writing about something because I was really frustrated with my husband. I think it was in our first year of marriage, so it was a long time ago. But so I was writing in there and I was like all upset. And by the end of me journaling, I ended up figuring out that the problem wasn't him. It was something that I needed to deal with within myself. And I was just taking it out on him. So it's interesting how when we start working through things and seeing things from a different perspective of how it helps us heal and grow. And that's where I talked about before. That is where our power comes from, that we are able to heal through things and, and grow and build our character and become who we, our highest selves of that we can be, that we can do. One problem I have with self-help books is that it's all about, how this is how you can improve yourself. This is how you improve yourself. Why do you want to improve yourself? Where is it going to go from there? If I'm going to spend all this time improving myself, I want to be able to share that. I want to become the best person that I can be so that I can share my gifts and talents with the people around me. That by me improving myself will help me be a better wife, will help me be a better mom, will help me be a better friend. I want to be better for the people around me because they're the ones that are going to benefit from me getting better for me. I don't want to just stop at me getting better, but that's all good. But then look at the impact I can have. If I am choosing wellness for myself, if I am actively pursuing wellness in my life, what an example that is for my children. What an example that is to the people that are around me that are seeing these choices. If it's possible for me to make these, choices and improvements and to find this healing power, then imagine then anybody can do it if I can do it. So by through working through this journal and asking yourself weekly, committing to a weekly practice of spending time with yourself to work through some questions to learn more about yourself, it helps you discover the answers. So that's why I pose questions, because it makes you think and examine. And, just like I talked about with the gratitude before, you can start out with, I'm thankful for the sun. No, I'm thankful for the warmth of the sun on my face. I'm thankful right now in Saskatchewan, we still have lots of snow. I'm thankful for the sun and it's melting the snow, and I'm happy for puddles. And I went grocery shopping earlier today, and I was thankful that the snow is gone and you can see where the parking spots are. And, all these different things, it just changes perspective on so many different things. So putting pen to paper, you are creating a life of meaning and purpose. And through these questions, you are able to explore all different areas of your life. So you can, the questions are just designed for you to work through things. So whoever you are in the dark, it's going to come out and you can explore these things. And it is just such an exciting process. I have been, so encouraged by the different things that I've seen in my life, and how much that it's just, encouraged me. There's in the, I call it My Journey Journal is what it's called. So through there, I even put in some extra bonuses where there's like a reading checklist. So you can start reading books, and then you can give it a little review of, what you thought of the book and all that type of thing. And so there's, in the My Journey Journal, there's just a bunch of extra fun stuff. And I have found myself this year is, building into myself and reading books and writing about different things. I have definitely throughout this year been exploring what faith looks like in my life. And so, and I can answer that through all the different questions that are in the journal as well. And so whatever area that you're in, it just starts to, you think you're going to start writing about one thing, and then it just starts expanding and growing and developing from there. So whether it's a health journey, something where maybe you need to deal with your past, maybe you have current, situations that you're trying to deal with, or you don't know what the right path is to take. Maybe it's exploring your faith, whatever it may be. It gives you an opportunity just to make that time and to really work through it. So I just want to, encourage you to, grab a pen and paper and just start with the date. If you want to write in a journal the way that you want to do your own thing, and that is awesome. If you want to learn more about the little journal that I created with the different questions here, you know what? Let me see. I think I can put it. There we go. There we go. So, oh, sorry, I shared it to the wrong thing. There we go. It's on my website, carolyncarleton.com, and you can find the journals all on there. So go and, check it out if you're interested. It's not a hard copy, it's just a digital download. So all you do is you can just purchase it off my website and download it, get it printed off, or however you want to do it. And that's the thing about journaling, is that you can be creative and you can work on it however you like. My daughter was working through it, and in the part where it asked about gratitude, she would just draw pictures, because that's her creative side and how she likes to create. So there's so many different things, and some of the questions, some weeks I'm just like, I just don't know what to write here. So then I write a quote or something that inspired me that week. So it's kind of my place where I start to write, additional things. But it's also, my weekly check-in with myself to see how I'm doing, because, and the one final question of each week is, next week I will. So next week, how can I, become better, or how can I work on this, or next week, I want to finish my book that I'm reading, or whatever it is. It's good for you just to set, next week, what do I want to get done? So it's not these long-term goals, it's short-term things going, what do I just want to do next week? What is my next week going to look like? And then when you sit down for your journal on next week, I always go back and I read back. I go, okay, what did I say I wanted to do? Did I do it? Did I do it well? So do I need to put it on this week's list again? Or maybe I need to change it and modify it, because obviously it's something I didn't. There's just so much going on there. So if you want to check that out, that's awesome. Oh yeah, and I have a coupon code for you too. So the way that this journal works is that it's like a quarterly journal. So right now we just finished the one for like January. We're just finishing this one for January to March. And the theme for this one was enjoy your everyday. And then the next one that we're going to do for April to June is be brave with your life. And so that is what we're going to be exploring, because along with the journal that you get as a download, you also get a membership to a website that I keep putting posts and videos and that type of thing up weekly, so that you can learn more and expand more on the theme that we have each time. So the next theme is be brave with your life. And so if you're interested in purchasing it, you can actually use the coupon code be brave, like all one word, be brave, and you will get a discount for purchasing the journal. So I don't know if anybody has any questions for me. I think that's all I was mostly going to share today. Also, with the journal, anybody who downloads the journal and purchases the journal, you also get to participate in another webinar where I go into more detail about how to use the journal. So today was more about learning about how the journaling can help you as you walk your journey. And the next one will be more about how to use the journal. So, and some other exciting things. Anybody who purchases the journal, their names are going in for a draw. And I have 2 of the prizes here. There's more prizes, but I don't have them yet. But they'll be released before it starts in April. So someone will win this book. It's called The Power of Writing It Down. It's a new book by Alison Fallon, and it's so much like, I haven't finished reading it yet because the book just came out. But yeah, it is exploring a lot of what we learned today and what I've been learning about over the last couple of years. So yeah, so that's interesting. She's actually wrote a book. Hers comes more from if you're going to write a book someday, of how you can learn about your writing style through writing things down. And then you also have the opportunity, you might win this beautiful painting by my friend. And right there it says, be brave with your life. So yeah, I don't know if I can show the whole thing, but yeah, it's very beautiful. So yes, so someone will win that beautiful painting as well. So I think that's all I have for you. Just thank you for coming. Thank you for wanting to learn about this, because yeah, I don't know, it's something that I'm really about right now, because I've seen it become so helpful in my own life. So I hope that it is able to help you as well. So if it is able to help you, and start journaling, like, please let me know how it's going, whether you purchase my journal or not. I just want you to put pen to paper, and I just want you to start down this road. Everybody does things differently. So the way I journal isn't going to be the same as everybody else's. So, but if you need a place to start, maybe it's something that you want to try for the next 3 months, or you can just work on your own and maybe come up with your own questions or something to get yourself started. But you know what? You can always start with a date. So our journeys are all unique. They're all beautiful, and just find joy in your journey. Enjoy your everyday and choose to be brave with your life. So thank you so much for coming today. I'll let you go. And if you have any questions or want to connect with me further, then you can send me an email. So thank you for coming.